Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault Jersey. Joe Archino back here. And first, it was Peyton Manning. And the day after that, Calvin Johnson announces his retirement from the National Football League. And really, it has been a heartfelt day from the football community. Maybe a little bit more so than I would have even thought. But certainly, to me, Calvin Johnson is maybe the greatest athlete to ever play the wide receiver position. And it's one of those things where he played 9 seasons in the NFL, probably still had a lot of good football left in him, but he's hanging up the cleats, and a lot of people want to know why. Patrick Willis, just last season, same thing. One of the best linebackers we have seen in this game today, and he hangs it up with still so much to offer. And I think we're starting to see this trend follow because players look at the other guys, the veterans who played this game, and they see guys who are having traumatic brain issues now. They see guys who can't even walk or walk with their kids or do normal things, live a normal life because of the physical toll the game of football takes on them. And Calvin Johnson's a guy who has had his fair share of injuries throughout his career, and I think this is a guy who's made a lot of money. This is a very smart guy, parents in education. He's a bright guy, self-aware, gets it. He's done all he could do, basically, in terms of putting up his own numbers, but it's one of those things where he walks away from the game still with a lot to offer. And it's not the first time this has happened to a transcendent talent for the Detroit Lions, very similar to the Barry Sanders situation. And I think you have to look at this in terms of this. It's very difficult when you are a transcendent talent and not be adequately used or not be put in a position where you feel like your skills have been utilized. I always say this, when talent is wasted in sports, there's nothing more sad. LeBron James' first 7 years in Cleveland, his talent was wasted. They did not surround him with the adequate talent, and they did not succeed like they could have if they surrounded him with the proper talent. Now, football, it's a lot more difficult to build a team, but Calvin Johnson was on a team that lost every game. He was on, other than the Buccaneers went 0-14, but then when the era of 16 games started, the Lions are the first team to ever lose all 16 games, and that takes a toll on you. When you've been as good as he is, and you've had largely nobody's throwing the football to you, and even Matt Stafford, to an extent, Stafford's first couple seasons in the NFL were defined by injuries. He couldn't stay healthy. His best season, 2012, 2011, that season there where they made the playoffs, lost to the Saints in the first round, he had his best year. That's the year that he breaks the record. That's the year he does everything so special. That's the year that everything clicks perfectly. And that one season, I think, gave you a glimpse that if he had a competent, healthy quarterback, what he could do in this game. And to me, he will always be the most dynamic athlete to ever play the position. You talk about a guy with size, with strength, with speed. He's done things that we might never see another prototype of a receiver like him who has all the intangibles like he does, who can just has such a wide catch radius area. I mean, you talk about just pure football skill combined with athleticism. I don't think that we'll ever see an athlete play the receiver position like a Calvin Johnson. They are a rare breed for a guy to be built the way that he is. There's a reason his nickname is Megatron. He really is like that, and it's one of those things now where we look back at it and we try to place him because I think I've seen some articles today. Will the fact that he's retiring now be kind of a detriment to him trying to get into the Hall of Fame? And anybody who tries to do that clearly doesn't know what they were watching. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter with Barry Sanders. It doesn't matter for Calvin Johnson. You know transcendent talent when you see it. It is so blatantly obvious that you can't deny it. And Calvin Johnson is one of those examples where the talent was so incredible, and largely you could see it with guys like John Kitna there, with guys like Shaun Hill throwing to him. Largely, Calvin Johnson has been a sad story, and it's been a story a lot of NFL players have experienced. Barry Sanders, the same thing. Sometimes transcendent talent is wasted, and wasted is a harsh word to say, but it's true. You know, it's difficult, and it's hard to say wasted when it's so hard to put together a roster. but you can't escape the word, because when you have talent like that, you have to capitalize on it. You just have to find a way. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but you have to find a way. And a guy like Calvin Johnson, now it's said and done, but I think largely the numbers are all there to support him. And I think they're even more impressive based on the fact that he's largely had maybe a couple seasons with a healthy Stafford where things were good, but aside from that, he's had largely nobodies. And it's the same case for Larry Fitzgerald. His numbers mean even more because outside of the years Kurt Warner was there, he's had nobodies getting him the football, and he's never complained about it once. Calvin Johnson has never complained about it once. We have so many diva receivers in NFL history, guys who've complained about not getting the football, guys like Sammy Watkins this year who complain about not getting the football enough. But guys like that have not gone through some of the things that the pros like Calvin Johnson have and Larry Fitzgerald have. And to me, he will always be the greatest athlete to ever play the receiver position. Even Jerry Rice, I know we all elevate and put as the best receiver of all time, but to me, even Calvin Johnson was a better athlete in his position than Jerry Rice. And you also can't escape the reality that Jerry Rice had maybe the greatest quarterback of all time getting him the football. Calvin Johnson did not have the advantages, and he still was able to put up the numbers in spite of that. The season where Stafford was at his best was Calvin Johnson's best year, and there's a reason for that. He's one of the greatest receivers we will ever see this game have, and certainly from an athletic standpoint, I don't think there's ever been anyone better than Calvin Johnson. And like I said, for Peyton Manning, this is a very smart guy, Calvin Johnson. He could stay close to the game of football if he wants to. He could have any role on any network that he wants to. It's a guy who has unique insight into the game, and I know personally I would absolutely love to hear and have him staying close to the game of football. But until that happens, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll see everybody next time.